bad luck's over with, I don't know. The little boy, the little 55 boy is doing good, and Eddie runs good and consistent when he ain't cheating.
I'd just like to say one thing for everybody out there. I do own stock in the show. That's why I'm on here. Appreciate it.
Hello everyone, welcome to this week's edition of Southside Speedway Illustrated. Got something different for you tonight. Instead of going through the pits, talking to everybody, we're just going to focus on the late model drivers, the top 10 in points, in fact, here at Southside Speedway. It's a 200-lapper tonight, so there's going to be plenty of racing action as well. All the highlights from Friday night's action, plus interviews, when we return with this issue.
It handles all its own components. It doesn't need another machine to put it together, and you very seldom have a machine this size where you don't have to have another crane to help assemble it. Well, this here assembles its own self, up to 400 foot of boom. I've been on this machine for 5 years. This has got to be the best machine I've ever run in my life. I love it.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the show. Leading the points going into week 17 of the late model series is Eddie Johnson. Johnson has 7 wins, including week number 1 when he ousted pole setter Bugs Harefield and went on to win the J.M. Wilson Memorial 100 over defending track champion Shane Lockhart. Johnson has led the points for most of the season with as much as a 78-point advantage over second. But several of the last few events, problems, or Bugs Harefield has kept Johnson at a victory lane.
Well, I don't know if that's really all the deal that's been going on. You know, we had some tough luck last week. We broke a transmission. One of the things with these cars they really don't have much trouble with, and there was a part failure, the shaft rung off. You got to take the good with the bad, and Bugs has been running real good. He's a tough competitor, and we've been lucky to win 7 races and looking forward to getting some more.
The fastest charge of late has come from young Kevin Grubb. 50 points out of the lead, Grubb comes into this event chasing Eddie Johnson. Now Grubb has climbed from 6th in the point standings to 2nd in just the last 2 events. And he gained the most ground last week when he won his first feature here at Southside Speedway. And he went on Saturday night to Kinley, Southern National Speedway, to make it a clean sweep for the weekend. You wonder if 3 wins in 2 months has changed the intensity of the 18-year-old.
Well, actually, since we started winning a couple races, I think it actually makes me more relaxed in the car, and it just it lets you know you know that we can do it, and I know I got a good car, and I don't try as hard anymore, and I think it actually makes things come easier. So I think from now on we'll be a little better than what we have been in the past, and just see how things go, see if we can move up in the points, and just see how things go.
Wayne Grubb is 3rd in the point standings and has been in the top 3 for most of the season. The elder Grubb has 15 top 10s, more than any other driver in the series, but it seems like he's fighting a mid-season slump.
Yeah, we sort of fell off a little bit mid-season, and sort of let the car get away from us a little bit, and you know, we think we got to calm down a little bit. We popped off a good qualifying run. We're just going to go out there. The Link Belt construction equipment team's they've been doing all the best they can, and we'll just go out there and see what we can do.
Bugs Harefield was probably one of the early season favorites for the track championship, but some of Harefield's students and Eddie Johnson have stood in his way. When Harefield isn't leading, he becomes the teacher to all the young stars at Southside Speedway.
We led some racing and had a flat tire too, so hopefully all the bad luck's over with, I don't know. The little boy, the little 55 boy is doing good, and Eddie runs good and consistent when he ain't cheating, but nevertheless, as far as the flat tires and stuff like that, it could happen to anybody. Hopefully that's over with me. Everybody else out here had a flat tire, so maybe I had my share and hopefully go to somebody else.
Rounding off the top 5 in points coming into event number 17 is young Bubba Urban Jr. The second-generation driver has had his ups and downs all season. Urban led the points early on thanks to 4 straight third-place finishes in events 2 through 5. But it's been mechanical difficulties that have plagued the Glen Allen driver for most of the season.
Lately here we finally got the rear figured out, and Out of the past 5 weeks, we've been on the front row 4 to 5 weeks, and the other time we was third, but we just seem to have little bad luck happening to us. Had a flat tire 1 week running second, leading last week, and the coil wire popped off, and we've been chasing a miss today that hopefully we finally figured that out. So hopefully we got the bad luck over with today before the race even starts, and I think we qualified second, so hopefully we'll do something during the race.
Perhaps one of the biggest surprises of the 96 season is that we're past the midway point and Shane Lockhart isn't in the top 5 in the standings. Although he has been as high as second in week number 1, Lockhart has had problems on and off the track. Lockhart has found 2 wins to date, but 1 was taken away after a post-race inspection. Some have questioned if the absence of Rick Duncan has affected the K95 team's performance.
No, absolutely not. I mean, you know, Rick built us good motors and things like that, and but you know, the guys that work on the car day in and day out are the same guys that worked on the car, you know, for the past 3 or 4 years. You know, Rick was most of the time he was down at Wally's, you know, working on motors, but once in a while he come by the shop. I mean, Rick knew what was going on at the shop, but you know, it's the same core group, and the only thing we've got is we got Wally building the motors instead of Ricky. You know, people look at performance and things like that, and you know, want to contribute it to this or contribute it to that and things like that. But you know, we had such good luck and good runs for 3 years, and you know, sooner or later you're going to get knocked off the top, and you can't keep backing that up time and time again. So sooner or later it's going to come. It just happened it came this year, and you know, all of our bad luck, so to speak, hit us at one time. But you know, we've had some decent runs. We just had some weird things happen to us. But you know, we're not down and out by no means, and we're just going to keep battling back and see what we can do.
7 top 5 finishes and 7th in the point standings are both the tributes of young Mike Lee. Lee, another one of Southside's young guns, has youth and sponsorship on his side. He had his best run in event number 2 as he chased Shane Lockhart for second spot behind Harefield. After years of dominance in the Grand Stock Series, Lynn O'Neill has found troubled waters in the Late Model Series. His 3rd season in the most competitive series at the track has brought new hopes with the addition of sponsor CMO Sign and Vinyl, but car number 1 has yet to find the number 1 spot. O'Neill has often been outspoken about running mid-pack and being beaten by cars that might have a possible advantage. When things go bad, nothing seems to go your way, and mid-pack is often where you find problems.
I mean, I don't agree with some of the things they've done this year and let people get away with, but I guess that's racing. And, you know, the biggest problem we've had is flat tires. Really, out of 16 or 17 races, we've had 8 we've had flat tires, and you can't rebound from that. I mean, you know, if you're going to be 5th in points or 4th in points, you keep having flat tires, you can't come back.
9th in points is held by Chesterfield's Chris Dotson. Young, aggressive, quick-tempered, and competitive could all be used to describe this driver. As a student of Harefield, Dotson has 3 top 5 finishes. One of those coming on Bud Night when he scored a win, passing Shane Lockhart late in a 100-lap feature. As Dotson's driving experience grows, he must keep focused on his overall goals and what will get him there.
Certainly it's consistency. At the first of the year we had little problems. We had a new car and all, and the car, it took us a while to get used to it, and in the last 6 weeks we've won a race and been in the top 5, and that's something I'm proud of, because you know, it's all the boys, they work real hard back at the shop, and you know, certainly you say one of the toughest hurdles is definitely consistency. That's what makes Bugs and Eddie so much better than everybody else, because they're here every week. My car run good one week and it'll be a tick off the next week and I'm not good enough to get it back. But every once in a while we'll hit it pretty close and run good
Rounding off the top 10 in points is Rodney Estes. Estes has had several different divisions and a couple of years experience at Southside under his belt, but he still can't keep up with some of them well-financed and more experienced teams. Estes has fought his way to 1 top 5 finish and 8 top 10 runs in 96, but still faces many hurdles. Stay tuned, everybody. When we come back, it's racing time. Highlights and more from Southside Speedway Friday night action. Chris Phelps took the lead from the pole in the night's opening mini-stock event. Lloyd Hornberger kept a close second while behind the paint trading started. Tyler McRae was chasing from 3rd in car number 34. But no one could touch Phelps as he cruised to the win over Hornberger, McRae, and Brian Bradley. Has anybody seen Chris Phelps? Chris Phelps? Hey, that's right. I remember the uniform. It's been so long since I've seen you down here.
Oh, yeah, I tell you. We got a little bit lucky tonight. The car run good, you know, and Tyler sold his car, so, you know, it makes a difference. I mean, it's a good race car he has, and somebody else will be out here in it next week, so, you know, going to be back, just a different driver. So, you know, it's not something we have to worry about it. I mean,
well, you got to always keep your eye on Hornberger, too. He's tight.
I'm telling you, the 63 car, Lloyd is going to do an excellent job, but they always seem like he spun out last week and they didn't qualify too good this week, and he'll be loaded for bear next week. That's going to be he's going to win his races, and that car always runs good. So, you know, it's going to definitely be someone to deal with. And I mean, I don't know what it is with this division. It seems like it takes so long, and then we get cars out here towards the end of the season, you know. So it's going to be a good race and be definitely something to come and see.
Bubba Hubbard set ready and on the pole for the 30-lap Grand Stock run. John Eversole started from second spot with Glenn Jarman and Chad Mason in row 2. Eversole quickly shot out front with Mason following to second as behind a tight pack battled for position. Laval Balduck, Wayne Clark, and Ray Ashworth were in a fight for the 8th spot when Ashworth looped his ride in turn 4. W.T. Curd III also would spin in the aftermath. When the green returned, Eversole and Mason started to pull away from the third-place Jarman, who was feeling heat from Hubbard and Robbie Langford. Caution returned to the speedway on lap 14 as Chad Mason spun out of his second-place run. Again, it would be Eversole leaving behind the fight for second, with Jarman, Hubbard, and Langford continuing to contest the spot. Eversole would catch a heavy pack of traffic for the closing laps, allowing the rest of the top 5 to close within 5 car lengths. But that's as close as they would get as Eversole took his 10th win of 96 over Jarman, Hubbard, Langford, and David Zimmer. Well, Johnny, win number 10, and didn't have as much competition as you'd had in the last few weeks.
Well, it was pretty tough there at the beginning. The 18-car Chad, he gave me a heck of a run. He was a little faster than we were, but we were fortunate enough to get out front. The crew worked real hard. We didn't have any tires. We blew our good tire last week. We run them forever anyway, and we had to mix our match tonight, so we were a little off, but we'll get some new ones next week.
How about the rest of the field starting to catch up with John Eversole? Or John Eversole fall off a little bit, and now you've gotten back to where you want to be?
No, I think they just gave us a wake-up call. They haven't run really any faster than they have. We just ran a little slower than what we've been running, so we'll get our act together this week. I'd just like to say one thing for everybody out there. I do own stock in the show. That's why I'm on here.
200 laps, 27 cars and drivers, over 150 crew members. It's time for the late models assault on Southside. Shane Lockhart and Bubba Urban Jr. took the field to green from row 1. Lap 1 turned to utter chaos as positions 5 through 10 stacked up on the backstretch. Chris Dotson would get nudged from behind and sent broadside. With the track completely blocked, there was no room for evasive action. Wayne Grubb, Wayne Patterson, Eddie Johnson, Rusty Wood, Worth Fred, Rocky Robbins, Matt Williams, as well as others took damage. Patterson, Grubb, and Johnson took the worst of it. Johnson's ride was peeled of its sheet metal, and Patterson was leaving a trail of sparks as he headed for pits. Back to racing after 9 laps of yellow, with Irvin showing the way over Lockhart, Kevin Grubb, and Bugs Harefield. One circuit later, Harefield moved by Grubb for third and closed in on the top 2. The top 3 would stay nose to tail for the next 15 circuits, with Harefield taking an occasional peek to the inside of Lockhart. Further back, Lynn O'Neill, Rodney Estes, and Mike Lee were also nose to tail for 7th spot and were practicing the old bump and run. Back to the top 3, and Urban was starting to pull away as Harefield continued to work on Lockhart. 46 laps into the event, the traffic was still heavy. This pack also featured first-time run at Southside for Jay Orgoni. The New Yorker was finding out just how tough Southside is. Caution would come out on lap 50 as Matt Williams spun with Estes and Lee getting caught up as well. To green and back to yellow as David Goat, Chris Steffi, Rocky Robbins, Bubba Farmer, and Ronnie Robbins all got together in turn 1. There would be several more attempts at green before full circuit was complete without yellow. Finally a run at green with Lockhart going for the lead, but forced back in line as the top 2 worked around the battered ride of Johnson. On the next circuit, Lockhart would shove Urban into turn 1, but backed off enough to allow Urban to save his ride and hold the lead. Lockhart continued to work the low side of Urban, but that would open the high lane for Harefield. Harefield took second on the high side and then went to the bottom to take away the first spot from Urban. just in time to pick up the $100 halfway bonus. Urban would lose second and then had to fight off Kevin Grubb for third. Glenn O'Neill would also close in to make it a three-way fight. O'Neill won the fight, but the top two were at this point a half a lap ahead. Harefield started to work the race traffic with Lockhart still in close pursuit. Contact among the pack nearly put the lead duo in jeopardy. With just 50 laps remaining, it was Harefield, Lockhart, O'Neill, and Lenny Pond showing on the leaderboard. Pond was trying to advance one more position and started to work on O'Neill. For most of the remaining circuits, Pond looked to the inside on O'Neill. With 5 laps left, he finally got the spot. At the same time, Harefield spun on the backstretch, handing the lead to Lockhart. Lockhart led for the final circuits to take the win with Harefield second over Pond and O'Neill.
Well, you know, I hate it for Bugs. Like I said, you know, we run like that, and Bugs is, you know, we've had our run-ins, like I said, you know. What's happened in the past, you know, I pretty much forgot about him put out because I know he didn't mean to do it. And I know, honestly, I can stand here. I didn't mean to hit him like, you know, and take him out like that. I tried to back off of it and let him get it straight, but it was too hard of a hit, and he couldn't save it. You know, if anybody could have saved it, Bugs Harefield could have, and it was just unrecoverable. And I'm glad he come back and finished up our second, but, you know, I'm going to do everything I can to make it up to him.
We run good, and then we both was loose at the end right there, and he knew if he hit me that he'd turn me around, and vice versa. If I had to hit him, I'd have turned him around, and I went down in the corner, and I give him the outside, and he just plowed into me and turned me around, and things just don't work the way it should out here. I mean, I turned him around, got into him last year or the year before or whatever, and hit him, and it was my fault, just like this was his fault. And I went to the rear of the field, and I think that's the way it should have been. And the way they're operating out here, it looked like to me, you just turn people around and don't worry about it, and they give it to you. I don't understand it. It's not my way of racing, and it's sure I didn't think it was Shane's way of racing, but, you know, he knows what he did, and it's a shame to lead another 200 laps and get knocked out. Last time I led it and had a flat tire, and this time I had 5 laps to go and get knocked out and lose it. It sure ain't right, and something ought to be done about it. Decker preached it last week up in the trailer, and the week before. If something like that happened, you would be put to the rear of the field. As you can see, I'm still second, and it's not right.
Now, the early race incident happened behind you, all those cars piling up. Was 27 cars just really too many for this track?
Well, not really. I think everybody just got a little anxious, right, John, and things were happening quicker than a lot of people was experienced about.
Well, we come off a 2 over there, and I think Wayne didn't really get enough heat in his tires, and Eddie was putting the pressure on him, and I almost run in the back of Eddie, and I backed up a little bit to give him a little room, and I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, everybody kind of went sideways. I started to cut the wheel and miss Eddie, and somebody just put a bumper up the back, and the way I went, I hit Eddie in the left rear wheel, and it just took off like an airplane, you know, and
Well, I wouldn't call it the front, but I mean, you know, me and Lenny had a heck of a battle going. Two Heritage Chevrolet cars going at it, I guess.
Well, Lenny, a hard-fought third-place finish, and you know, about 15 years ago we would have expected that from Lenny Pond, but we might be seeing the second coming.
Well, we hope to come back and run good like at a few races, because we've been over here for last year and this year, a few races this year, and we just hadn't run like we had hoped to run. Of course, a lot of competition at Southside. It always has been and still is, and probably will be 10 years from now.
Well, obviously you picked up the most positions tonight with the Hard Charger Award.
Well, we get the Hard Charger Award. I don't know whether we picked up the most positions, but it was really fun out there tonight. I think it was probably cool enough that it wasn't real bad out there on us. It wasn't for me anyway. I had a little bit of air going in the car tonight. It felt good. But the 200 laps kind of got there pretty quick than I thought it would.
And no trip to the ambulance tonight.
No, yeah, I'm going in a few minutes. I'm going to change clothes.
Well, Jay Forgione, I hope I pronounced that right.
Yeah,
but,
that was good.
Riverhead Raceway, Long Island, New York, that's a long ways away. What are you doing down here at Southside?
Well, we figured we'd give a different track a little try, and it was a much longer race, and just to see how it is, we figured we'd come down and try it out.
Pretty tough 1/3 mile oval, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, real tough. The length of it was the real tough part. 200 laps is real tough. We're not used to running that. We usually run about 25 laps. That's about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so 200 laps is a real tough one on us.
How about the fields up there? What kind of cars turnout do you have?
We get about 25 cars turn out for the feature.
So actually a familiar field, though. Where do you finish up there on average?
We usually finish in the top 10. We do pretty well.
Well, that's not too bad. Now, I think you came close to a top 10 tonight, regardless of getting caught up in a whole lot of incidents. There was so much action on the track.
Yeah, but it was a lot cleaner racing. They race a lot different up here. It's a little bit more patient they are, and I really enjoyed it. It was real nice.
By the way, that's down here. We're in the south, bud. Well, Eddie, tonight it was really nobody's fault, or really everybody's fault. A terrible accident on lap 1 and turn number 3 cost you a lot of points.
Well, it sure did, you know. I think Chris Dotson, the car got away from him. I don't know. Wayne didn't go on the start. He broke something in his rear end, and I had gotten up on the high side to go around him, and that's when Chris lost it or whatever happened to him, and I got on the brakes. Of course, it's just a chain reaction behind us, and there's no blame to anyone. It's just one of them racing deals, and you got to come back next week and hope things get better. And I did notice you took the better side of the car anyway.
Yeah, that's the only side that's left of it. Now, how's the track tonight? Last few weeks been pretty bad, but tonight it seems like everybody handled pretty well when they were running. You didn't have much time really to find out except for in practice.
Well, I tell you, the car felt good to me tonight. I thought we had a real good race car, and our Ashland Ford, Special Hygiene, Thunderbird was running great, and WRVA, I want to thank them also. But if you take a picture of the left front wheel, you realize that really I didn't have no handling anyway, so I was just out there riding, trying to pick up some points. And, you know, we should still be on the top, but it's getting real tight.
Well, that's going to wrap up tonight's racing action, and what a wild one it was. In the mini stocks, Chris Phelps finally finds another win. In the late model race, well, it was utter chaos, as you could see, and you heard all the comments from all the drivers and crews. And, of course, in the Grand Stocks, John Eversole takes another win, his 10th of the season. Don't forget, NASCAR will be back here next Saturday night at Southside Speedway for racing action. If you haven't seen the NASCAR series, you need to come out and check out the Mini Winstons. I'm Freddie Clark, inviting you to tune in next week's edition of Southside Speedway Illustrated. And, of course, in the Charger class, it was Brad Skelling taking the win. See you next week, folks.